Hello, everyone. I'm Allison, and welcome to my weekly meltdowns, the real meltdown. I have changed the name of my secondary show. It's no longer Documentaries with Allison because that was a boring name. And Tyler and I brainstormed Saturday because I was in a panic because I thought the real meltdown, REEL. How about that? Does that work for you? Do you like that, Dominic?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, so this is I've got Dominic Capella with me this evening. We are kind of going back in time, really back in time. Uh Back when a documentary was released in 2015 to cover a film that was 3 weeks away from being shooting, that literally the car everything pulled all at once. It was a film called Superman Lives, which was supposed to come out in 1998, starring Nicolas Cage, directed by Tim Burton, and it never did. It was the film that never was. And then there was it kind of remained a mystery. Okay, this film remained a mystery, and let's go even further back. It was announced, I believe, in late 96-ish, early 97. And I'm going to go ahead and say right now, don't come for me if you're going to want somebody with facts. Okay. I love watching documentaries. I love Superman, but I am not up his butt with all the information there is to know. So if you're here to know everything there is, I don't know all of that stuff. But one reason I have Dominic here who knows a lot. I don't know how much. Basically, don't come for me. I'm not an expert. I'm just talking about a documentary I like about a movie that was never made. So calm down. Anyway, so back in late 96, 97-ish, I was about 19, 20, was a new mother. I loved Superman. I grew up with Christopher Reeve films. He was my person. He was my Superman back then. And they had announced, after two successful Batman films, in my opinion, Batman and Batman Forever, directed by Tim Burton.
Batman Returns, directed by Tim Burton. Then Joel Schumacher did Batman Forever.
Right. Did I say Batman Forever?
Yes.
I'm sorry. See,
Even though Batman Forever hasn't aged well for a lot of people, people forget that was like the biggest movie of 1995. I always assumed it was Toy Story, but I actually think Batman Forever was the highest grossing film of the year. So people were all in on Joel Schumacher's Batman.
Joel Schumacher was a extremely hot commodity back then, and I think a lot of people were kind of like, okay, he's going to jazz this up a little bit. I know it, and that's totally fine. I didn't expect all the neon. For me, Batman is dark, and I didn't expect all that stuff, but I really enjoyed Batman with Keaton and Burton's Batman films were amazing to me. Batman Forever, I'll be honest with you, is not that bad. It has its moments. I hate Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face.
Yeah, he's awful in that.
Yeah, it's awful. I'm one of the biggest Jim Carrey fans. I love Jim Carrey. I did not love him as the Riddler. I liked him more as Edward Nygma than I did.
Yeah, he was menacing as Edward Nygma. And then he became more Jim Carrey's and we went on. But I always said I'll take his enthusiasm over Tommy Lee Jones completely phoning in for a paycheck any day of the week.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. I love Val Kilmer, and
decent Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
His Batman came across, he just played a generic superhero. He really wasn't playing Batman. He was playing generic superhero. But his Bruce Wayne had a lot going for it.
Why can't we cast one actor to be Bruce Wayne and another one to be Batman? Kind of like the Hulk almost, like you had Lou Ferrigno and, oh shit. Who is
Bill
the
Bixby.
Bill Bixby? Y'all, I'm out of it today. I'm sorry, but
That's why I'm here.
yeah, because like, why can't we have that? That would kind of be a cool concept. But Batman Forever. I remember I was 18. I was there opening weekend. I had a big crush on Chris O'Donnell. I had the Robin poster on my wall, and with that big cod piece in the poster, it was front and center. Okay, but then you get to Batman and Robin, and it just sucked. And once again, you got a guy that does a good Bruce Wayne, George Clooney. Not a big fan of him as Batman.
Nope.
No, very few people
And
can
I
pull it off
always
like
said
that.
this is supposed to be about Superman. We've probably
Look,
talked before that there's private Bruce Wayne, public Bruce Wayne, and Batman. So there's three versions of the
yeah,
character you have to nail. And with George Clooney, we got public Bruce Wayne, we got Playboy Bruce Wayne. That's easy for him. But the material wasn't there for him to do anything else.
yeah, like even in the downtime with his girlfriend on the couch and that, it was not. I didn't know. Michael Keaton did all three perfect, and back in that time, when they had announced Tim Burton is going to breathe life into the Superman franchise. I don't think we had a Superman film since 87 Superman. Jesus, Quest for Peace. I saw
Yep.
that not once, but twice in the movie theater when I was 10 years old.
I watched that probably the most as a kid
Yeah.
because that was the most recent, so that played on TV the most. And I was 2 when it came out, so I probably watched it a lot when I was like 4 or 5. So I loved it then because when you're 5, you don't
Yeah.
know any better.
Dude, I was 10. My brother was 15 and not as impressed. Okay. And now I get it. He was like, what is this turd? They even talk about polishing a turd in this documentary, which is one of my favorite sayings. I love it. But getting into Superman, you have the Christopher Reeve, who was my Superman growing up. To me, Christopher Reeve did such an amazing job as a two-tone. You've got Clark Kent and you've got Superman. To me, he did it. He just did it a perfect job. Even in Superman 3 when he's fighting himself and
That's a
he's
great scene.
yeah, that is an amazing. Like even it could have, back in '83, dude, that was a big deal. That special getting into that was a big deal. A lot of the stuff that happened in Superman 3, even getting Richard Pryor was a big get because that guy is the comical genius back in '83. So a lot was going on in Superman 3, maybe a little too much. And they could have just left it and moved on, but they had one more to do. And they just kind of, nuclear shit was going on, all of this stuff going on in the '80s. So they kind of were, playing
Yeah,
on that.
the Salkinds who and John Peters talks about this later. You call into the question the validity of him saying computers didn't exist yet. Obviously, that's wrong. But him saying Warner Brothers really didn't actually care about owning the rights to a Superman movie. That's true because the Salkinds, they're the father son duo who produced the first 3 Superman movies, and Warner Bros. Distributed. And
Yeah.
then they sold the rights to Cannon Films, the notorious Cannon Films, which, if anyone's seen the documentary Electric Boogaloo about how they were just these kind of cheapskates, but good at marketing and knew how to make low budget movies with sort of B-list celebrities that somehow still turned a profit. And they completely stabbed Christopher Reeve in the back. They promised him a big budget Superman movie, and after he signed on, they just cut everything and used that money for other movies. So
Kind of
yeah,
like
so
what they did with Superman Lives. We canceled that movie to make Wild Wild West. Again, what a piece of crap. I'm sorry. That movie was terrible.
yeah,
That
so
no.
I was 14 at the time, and I remember like other kids liked it. I'm like, what is wrong with you? This movie
No.
is obviously terrible.
I
But
saw that.
when they're
Yeah.
14, they're like, but it's Will Smith. He just made Men in Black. This movie has to be good. It's just like that was still the mentality of
Yeah.
kids. They're like, well, if it's a big star in a new movie, it has to be good.
Well, it's Will Smith at the height of his Will Smithdom. He had Independence Day, he had Men in Black, he was hot. He was the thing. He was the go-to superstar at the time. We were slowly backing away from Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone, who were, when I was a child, were the big three. You know, they were the big movie stars, and we were kind of phasing out of them and leaning in towards, here we go, Nicolas Cage. It was, you know, he had Con Air, he had Face Off. It just,
Yeah, he was sort of
yeah,
doing what Liam Neeson eventually did. That, like, he was a dramatic actor who woke up one morning and said, "I'm an action movie guy now." It's like,
yeah. It's
okay,
like, how many takens and tooks can we make, Liam? But you know what? It works because Liam Neeson, you know, he's Qui-Gon. Okay. He's amazing to me. I love him. But you get this announcement in
actually,
the,
my Qui-Gon Jinn Funko Pop is like teetering on a type shelf. It could
oh
fall down
no,
and hit me any moment.
he's
Because
trying to, oh, shit, my mic. He's trying to get in on it.
I brought some special guests. We're joined by Superman.
There we go with the curl.
We're joined by Nicolas Cage.
Yes. Yes.
And we're joined by Kevin Smith.
You got to look. Kevin Smith, you know, he's super skinny now because I think he had a heart attack or something.
Yes.
And he had to go on a, you know, a diet and eat better and take care of himself. And I think that was the best thing for him. It kind of you know, you kind of love fat Kevin Smith, but, you know, I'd rather him be alive than dead. So, but anyway, you know, it's just funny to see him, even in this documentary that was shot maybe 9-10 years ago. He's thinner now. I mean, like, he's lost weight.
Oh yeah.
From that. It's like this guy, the wind blows, he's gonna freaking fly away.
So Kevin Smith, so what was when did you specifically, do you remember when you first heard about the Tim Burton Superman? Because I remember it was in Entertainment Weekly. So I guess it probably would have been like late 96, early 97. And I don't even remember that it was Tim Burton directing. What I maybe
Nicolas Cage was announced first, I believe. I'm not really sure. Back then in the late 90s, despite what John Peters says in the documentary, computers did exist. You couldn't Google and do all that. I think people were still paying for America Online and all that, and, you know, dial up and all that. I got my entertainment news from religiously Entertainment Tonight and E! News Daily came on every night, and Allison watched it. This was so far back in the day. E! Had a show that just played trailers. It was an hour-long show that came on every week, and it was just, they would talk about movie trailers. They would show all the movie trailers so you could see them, because you didn't have YouTube. You couldn't get online and look up the trailer for all this, you know. You would watch I forget what it was called, but it was really cool. But anyway, that's where I heard it, was on this trailer movie preview.
Yeah, back then, younger people don't realize, like, you were genuinely surprised sometimes by a coming attraction to a movie, because you're like, oh, I had no idea this was being made.
Zero appreciation. Let me tell you something about waiting. I remember when I was 10 years old, about 10 or 11, and they announced Michael Keaton as Batman. And my little brain goes, just Beetlejuice. Like, how? But I hadn't seen a lot of his stuff at that age. I was a child. I hadn't seen Clean and so I didn't know the range he had. To me, he was just Beetlejuice. And then when I saw it, you know, when I was 12, I was like, okay, you know, I was already a movie and TV critic by the time I was 4. So I was watching Entertainment Tonight and all these shows when I was really little. You have to understand, I was listening to news radio and all of the stuff with my grandparents when I was really little. So I was already kind of in my mind critiquing this kind of stuff. But we didn't have any set photos. We didn't have anything to go off of.
What I remember specifically seeing in Entertainment Weekly was just an artist's rendition of what they think Nicolas Cage will look like in the Superman suit.
Right. And like, you just had your imagination. And when they announced that he was going to be Superman, I I was okay with it. A lot of people are like, no, this guy from the vampire movie that ate a cockroach, no. And it was a real cockroach. One of them was just a little fun fact. Anyway, so I was okay with it. Now, my ex-husband, my son's father, he and I were married at the time, and he was kind of like, I don't know about this. I don't know. We'll have to see. And I'm like, yeah, but he's tall. He's got the blue eyes, the dark hair, and all of this. And I guess, it worked. But I remember the comic came out, gosh, 30 years ago that killed him. My high school boyfriend and his friends were really into they just collected comics. Okay, these guys didn't read them. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it what it is. It was cool. It was really awesome, and when we broke up, I was so mad at this guy, and he deserved this. If I need to do a separate podcast for this. He had, what was it? Number one, Catwoman, number one comic that was released in 93 or something. I took it off his wall and ripped it in half. Yeah, there's some people hurting right now. I don't give a shit. The guy deserved it. They collected comic books, and they had where Superman died. Okay, they had that. I remember it killed Superman and all that. And so I guess Superman Lives was bringing him back to life and all that. Like I said, didn't have pictures, didn't have anything. Like, we didn't even know what Nicolas Cage looked like in the Superman suit till 10 years ago? Because I don't remember ever seeing it.
Yeah, I don't remember when that unflattering pic leaked
Let's
online.
bring that up. Want me to share my screen? I'll bring it up real quick.
Because apparently, I'm not going to say the name of the director of Superman Returns or the actor who played Lex Luthor in that movie. Just, I don't want the YouTube algorithm to come after your channel by saying their names, but people know who I'm talking about.
We know.
And they talk about that director would hold up this photo when any Warner Brother executive questioned him on Superman Returns, and just go, no, this is what you guys were doing before you hired me, so you don't know anything. So knowing what we know about that director that he was using.
Okay, can y'all see my screen? Let me see. There it is. Let's bring it up real big. Can we bring it up bigger than that? I had like a really big one. Hold on. And the flash. There it is. I don't think you can see. Okay. There we go. So, if you don't know much about Superman and the death of Superman and everything that goes on, you're puzzled by this picture, which was taken in mid-flat. He's blinking in mid-flash. God rest his Lord. Why would you release this out of all the pictures?
This didn't release. This just leaked.
It leaked.
Probably by someone who was burying the project, probably.
Yeah, they're like, look, don't get upset about it. Stop bitching. This is what this right here is what you were going to get. No, that's not even the completed suit. They hadn't completely agreed on his hair, but his hair was longer in the comics at this time. In the 90s, he had longer hair. But he had a whole thing going on. Now, if you look, they even mention, and we'll get to I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. We'll get to the documentary in a second. But if you take a look, I've got a picture. I apologize. I'm going to share this tab. Do you see my tab here? You have pictures like this. I mean, okay, no, I don't. God dang it, I got some of these damn cookies. But I mean, we have hopefully bigger freaking tabs than this. I'm really kind of pissed off right now because I have to go in and click the tab, because if I don't, now Dominic, you troll me. If I'm talking about a picture I have pulled up and it's still this screen, you need to tell me, because it's not doing what I want it to do. So let me get back here. I'm trying to find this. I mean, all right, I'm going to share it. Is it showing him?
Yes.
This is decent. This is decent. Okay, now I'm gonna say you're not really. I don't know if you see my mouse, but down here looked like a G string. That's the only problem I had. Was it looked like he had on a little red banana hammock G string bathing suit?
Yeah,
Okay,
that was their solution to they not liking the old fashioned underwear on the outside
yeah,
look, but that makes it more obvious. So I
yeah.
think after seeing Henry Cavill suit Man of Steel, I think people are like, yeah, we don't actually need the red trunks over
Oh,
his tights
guy,
anymore.
this guy. Man, there's a whole bunch. So, yeah, there's a fan made. So to get to it real quick, The Death of Superman Lives is a documentary made by okay, John John okay, you pronounce it.
I believe John Schnepp.
John Schnepp, who I just found out before we came on air passed away before this was released or after?
No, after it was
After.
released.
Okay, after it was released. And man, what an I can't believe I haven't heard more about this documentary film. I maybe I missed the boat. I don't know. I remember when it premiered on Showtime 9 years ago, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the most amazing thing ever." This documentary maps out the story behind what happened with S- Superman Lives, how it started out as, we have Nicolas Cage as Superman. I believe at one point it was Chris Rock as Jimmy Olsen. Rumored, I heard Billy Zane as Lex Luthor.
That
I
was
heard,
always a rumor in
yeah,
the
Kevin
90s.
Spacey. Yeah, I said his name. Whatever.
Oh,
And
that apparently was who they were going to
yeah,
cast. So that's the one thing that carried over into Superman Returns.
Sandra Bullock as Lois Lane.
But
What?
John Peters said she turned them down. But then Tim Burton goes, I must have called out sick that
Yeah,
day. I don't remember any of this.
I don't remember. I don't think they mentioned anyone else as Lois Lane, did
Think
they?
I think they mentioned Courtney Cox as a
Courtney Cox,
possibility.
yes. Courtney Cox would have been. She would have been nice. That would have been nice. But she was kind of already a reporter in Scream, so I don't know how I could have differentiated between the two. It would have been too mind blowing for me. Kevin Smith, who
He's the one who's kept this story alive. When he
yes,
told the story on An Evening with Kevin Smith, his DVD, which with him going around like college campuses and just doing Q&As. That's what really revived. That's mainly where I knew this from, because then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember seeing that picture of Nicolas Cage in Entertainment Weekly, an artist's rendition of what he would look like as Superman. I realized like it was that far along.
yeah, and at this time, Kevin Smith, I remember. Gosh, I saw Clerk. I worked at the movie theater when Clerks came out, and we would run in. We only had Clerks for maybe a week or two. I don't even think of, and I don't even think it I don't even think it fully played that second week because we back then, Dominic, and you, I'm sure you know because you're familiar. You work for a movie theater, right? Back then, it was film. It wasn't digital. It's not like it is now. You push a button. Back then, it was film, and the projectionist had to physically load this canister of film on a reel to play it. And these things were freaking huge. And if no one bought any tickets, they had 15 minutes. We had a 15-minute window after the start of the film. If nobody bought tickets, that film didn't play. So we would run in the theater on our breaks and sit in Clerks just because it was hilarious to us. Like we thought this was the greatest thing ever. We'd never seen anything like this. It was shot in black and white. It had all these film references. And that's how, I met Kevin Smith and that whole bunch. And at this time, he's coming off Mallrats, all that. Chasing Amy, what a great man. That guy's a monologuist. He just knows how to write. And for John Peters to say he was an amateur, dude, don't even get me started because I'm about to
Yeah,
come. Mm-mm.
that definitely seemed like payback for all the stories that because Peters denied the stuff that Kevin Smith always says is that he was told that Superman
Yeah.
can't wear his suit and he can't fly.
Yeah, that's another, like, you get Kevin Smith involved, who I believe, according to the documentary, was on a call about another film, and Superman came up and he was all
Yeah.
in.
The meeting
And
was about Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
yeah, okay, you know what? I
Hey, we actually are now getting Beetlejuice 2 this year.
Now I'm on board with Beetlejuice too. I know it's taken 36 years, but I'm invested. I love Michael Keaton. He can do no wrong to me. He did no wrong in The Flash, although I'm not happy about the wig they made that man wear. But I'm invested. But yeah, I'm glad that shit didn't get made. But Kevin comes in. He is a comic book guy. He had a show on AMC called Comic Book Men. Not then, but I mean, I know you see it reruns on
Yeah.
AMC. Great show. I love it. My son loves it. My son. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now. I can't talk. I got something going on. This went on my last show, and it's probably gonna keep on happening. It's not because I'm stuck.
I'm getting over a cold, so I'm doing my best.
We're all surviving. We're surviving and thriving. We're doing our best, Dominic. My son is obsessed with comedy. Like, he knows all about this stuff. I wish he would have done this show with us, but my son is not into this like I am. So Kevin Smith comes aboard. He writes it because he knows his shit. He's all about it. But he has this meeting first with John Peters. Now, John Peters, I guess we should kind of familiarize some of these young people or whoever's out there listening. Who is John Peters? Well, John Peters, he produced, well, first he started out as Barbara. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I said Cher's hairdresser.
Oh.
Cher does not have a hairdresser. She has like a wig person. Okay. She doesn't. Yeah. So Barbara Streisand's hairdresser, they dated. He becomes a film producer. So, he was, let's see here. He actually produced the updated version of A Star is Born, which ironically Barbara starred in the 70s, which was not the first time that was done. That film has been done 3 times. So, he produced Inner Space. He produced Man of Steel. Because, we're going to talk about some similarities as we get further along into this.
Yeah, I mean, because he at one point owned the rights to Superman. His name has to...
Superman Returns.
Yeah, so he really didn't have anything to do with Superman Returns or Man of Steel, but he just has to, legally, they have to put his name on the movie.
Yeah, I'm also going to explain something else to y'all real quick. I have written and produced a film myself. It's a short film called Uncertain Saunter. You can find it on YouTube. Yes, it's an odd name. I don't care, but you'll remember it. I will say that the person that funded my film, who wrote me the check, was an executive producer, but did nothing else.
Yeah.
Didn't come see it. Just didn't care. I'd worked for this man for a decade. He knew films were my passion. He knew I was trying to raise money, and he took me in his office. He said, I want you to show me a budget to the penny. And being an accountant, I'm, formerly an accountant, I did it. And I said, this is where it's going. And I kept receipts. I said, we're done. This is everything that I don't need to see it. I trust you. So, I made a film. Producers produce not a whole lot of anything from my experience. And I also acted for 20 years and I worked on films. I never saw a producer. I never really met any. I mean, you just kind of, to me, it's just like a ghost. They don't really do much. But in this case, this guy who, he did executive produce some great films. I won't take that away from him. I'm on the fence here with Tango and Cash. To me, is a great movie with Sylvester Stallone and
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
They're 2 of my favorite actors, but I was never a Tango and Cash fan. I never liked it.
It's so slapstick and campy. If it's on, I'm going to listen to it or watch it. But he produced Rain Man, Batman, Tango and Cash. Then there are some turds, Bonfire of the Vanities. You have This Boy's Life, which is the first pairing of Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. That is a great movie. I mean, you have it kind of is on and off. You have Money Train, that was a hit. My Fellow Americans, You have Wild Wild West, Ali got Will Smith an Oscar nomination. You have Superman Return. You have all these movies, and it just the guy is a producer. But then again, I'm not shitting on producers. I get it, but that's kind of saying something without saying anything at all. You know what I'm saying? But this guy had a lot of input. To me, I think he had more input than he should have with Superman Lives, because he brings Kevin Smith into the room and he's like, I don't want him to fly. I don't want him to fly. What else did he say?
Well, again, that's what Kevin Smith says he said, but he denies it.
Oh, I believe Kevin Smith. I'll die on that sword. I'll die on it. But he didn't want him to fly. What else did he say?
Directive 2, according to Kevin Smith, was that no, the suit he didn't want to wear the original suit, and the third, of course, was the giant spider.
God, the spider! My God, which he got in Wild West. I mean, damn, the guy's got a hard on for spiders and what kind of beasts? What are they called? I don't know what they're called.
I know what it is. It's the Thangarian snare beast. It's a reference to Man's home world, but I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, we don't care. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, that is, brings them in. I want a spider. I want polar bears. I want a bunch of bullshit. I don't know. I think the ninjas came in the third script, third writer. But anyway, so he goes in, he writes it, he comes back, and John Peters is the kind of guy that everybody does everything for him, includes reading to him. So he reads the script to him, and I thought he liked it. Like, I thought John Peters liked it at first. Why wouldn't you like it? The guy knows comics. He knows, there was a draft by someone else, I believe, that was called Superman Reborn.
Yeah, that was before Kevin Smith came on board.
Yeah, and he came in and fixed it and made it Superman Lives.
He started basically from scratch.
Yeah. So that's an interesting kind of there's a lot of things. I highly recommend watching this because there are people that passed up the opportunity to work on The Matrix, to work on this film. There's just amazing special effects, costumes. I mean, they really were going above and beyond trying to get this film made, and it seems like kind of overnight it just we're making a bunch of stinkers and it's not working out. And how do you pull the plug on Tim Burton and Nicolas Cage, who was hot as hell back then, and the guy that brought his Batman? How do you pull the plug?
Well, it's strange that because they didn't fire him after Batman Returns. They just sort of kindly asked him to leave because they felt Batman Returns was too dark. So the guy you felt was too dark for Batman, then why'd you hire him for Superman? Knowing his sensibilities as a filmmaker, even though, according to everyone else, this was Tim Burton making a conscious choice to try and do something different.
The best one thing that I totally had forgot about when I was rewatching this documentary is the fact that Batman and Robin bombing at the box office, and it just was another nail in the coffin for Superman Lives. And Tim Burton was pissed because Joel Schumacher had shit on the franchise he helped build with this film. Batman and Robin is terrible. I'm sorry. Dominic, it's so bad. Like, we need to do a recap of that. We're going to do, you and I.
Sure.
We've got to, because it's
that time though. I have to be fully recovered from my illness.
Yes. We got to be full. Like, I got shit going. We both got stuff going, but it's so terrible. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's bad. It's just shit. I remember sitting in the movie theater when I was 20 years old going, what the am I watching right now? I think that for me, Dominic, I'll be honest with you, was when the turn started of when superhero films were dying for me. And because, like I said, 10 years old, Superman 4, Quest for Peace, greatest thing in the world to a 10-year-old. Now 10 years later, I'm like, oh God, this is how my brother felt in Quest. I'm pretty sure it's pretty damn close. So you get excited when you hear Tim Burton. Holy crap, please, someone get this guy. Get him now. I can't do this. And to hear him doing, I was excited. I was really excited. I love Nicolas Cage. So even at 20, I was excited. Dude, I was riding on the Con Air high at that time. That's in my top 5. Con Air. God, I love that movie. And the hair that he's wearing in that movie. It's just every opportunity they could to get a slow-mo up close of him with that hair. It's just amazing. I just love Nicolas Cage. It's just what it is. So you have Tim Burton come on board, and that's the end of Kevin Smith.
Yeah, so he was replaced by Wesley Strick, who did a later draft of Batman Returns. So I know Daniel Waters, who wrote Heathers. I think he did the first draft of Batman Returns, because Sam Hamm, who wrote Batman '89, his script for Batman Returns, but he just called it Batman 2, wasn't used at all.
What was the guy's name? Wesley what?
Strick. So yeah, I'm sure he did like this. He did like the polish of the Batman Returns script.
Did he produce The Man in the High Castle?
Yeah,
he did. That is holy crap. Can I bring him up? I'm gonna share him. Sure. Okay, let's bring him up. This is the second writer that was brought in to write Superman Lives. I'm sorry, Dominic. I keep wanting to call it Superman Returns. Okay, I'm sorry, but it just keeps wanting to fall out of my mouth. But yeah, this guy right here. Let's see. He's known for man. I love the man. Wolf. He wrote Wolf with Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer. I love that movie. I'm so alone. I'm like on an island by myself.
I like that. I like that movie.
I love that movie. Return to Paradise was okay. Cape Fear? Holy crap, this guy wrote the remake of Cape Fear? Look at this shit. Let's see what else. Where is it? Carnival Row Monster, The Man in the High Castle, The Loft. That is an interesting film if you ever have 90 minutes to kill. Do what?
Well, I see. Was he involved in the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street? Because that's not a point in his favor.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say now he has a screenplay credit and story by. Okay, that's kind of like I'm not fully responsible for this. Okay, there's more people at this table, this writer's table. Yeah, Cape Fear, The Glass House, Hitch, what is it with Will frickin' Smith? Good God. The Saint, another Batman, got a wolf, Cape Fear. Oh God, he wrote Arachnophobia. I can't watch that because I hate spiders. There was a spider. Speaking of spiders, how ironic. In my garage yesterday, the size of my freaking face. Now, my husband will argue with you and say, no, Alice, it was not the size of your face. But it was. And I had to have him murder it because no, they had their chance to come in from the cold. And just because we have a warm snap and it's 62 degrees outside does not mean you get to come back in. No, I'm sorry. True Believer. Oh, wow. That's amazing. So this guy's got some street cred in the movie department.
This is who Tim Burton wanted, but eventually the studio pushed him out the door.
How? This is just a clusterfuck. You are going to watch this documentary and you're going to see so many amazing things with Nicolas Cage. You're going to see Nicolas Cage getting fitted, dressed. You'll see him as Clark Kent in a Mickey Mouse t-shirt. It's great. And you just really get into the nuts of this and you're frustrated. Like, I'm so frustrated with this document. Like, I'm so pissed right now. Who was the third guy? Like, this guy was released. Who was the third writer? Oh God, his name's on the tip of my tongue, and
Dan Gilroy.
Dan Gilroy. Let's see what he's Nightcrawler. This guy wrote Nightcrawler. Holy crap. Okay. So, fun fact, Allison loves the movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal in it because the guy's creepy as hell in it, and I'm just all over it. Let's see, what did he write? Andor. Wasn't a big fan of that. Okay, screenplay by Kong Skull Island. I love that movie. Nightcrawler, The Bourne Legacy. Like, okay, you know they're making another one of those. I brought this up on my show last week. They're making another Bourne film with Matt Damon. The guy's got to know who he is by now. Okay, I don't get it. Like, this is just going to keep on going. Free Jack? Have you seen that Emilio Estevez film?
I do have memories of that from the night seeing that as a kid.
Oh my God. You've not lived and experienced cinema until you have two films. Okay. I got ADD right now. Emilio Estevez in Trash Men. I think it's called Trash Men. Trash Men, something like that. He's a garbage man, co-stars his brother, Charlie Sheen. Guy wrote
Men at Work.
Men at Work. We're the trash guys, okay? The garbage men. Men at Work. Thank you. That's a terrible movie. It's so bad, but it's funny. I don't know why, but it's one of those that's so bad it's funny. He wrote and directed it, Emilio Estevez. And then Free Jack. You got to watch that and Free Jack. And St. Elmo's Fire is a great one too. But because he's a brat packer. Go watch those two. They're great. But yeah, I'm impressed. Not as impressed. How do you go from Wesley Strick? I'm just curious. How do you go from that to Real Steel and Two for the Money and Chasers? Yeah, Chasers. Have you ever? I got to get off this.
Yeah, well, at that point they were just looking for someone who could make the script just cheaper.
Yeah, it just is sad. This is sad. But God bless him. The guy's in the industry and doing stuff. I can't say anything about myself. But you've got Nicolas Cage. God bless this man. Look at all of this. I mean, if you could see my screen, the possibilities were really endless.
The only argument I'll make against it is when Richard Donner talked about the first Superman when he got hired, there's all kinds of so they're like, who should play Superman? They're talking Robert Redford, Paul Newman, Nick Nolte, and he said no, it can't be someone who's already famous. Because then it'll just be their head on Superman's body. We need an unknown. We need someone whose face the audience will just look and see Superman. I'm not saying Nicolas Cage couldn't do that.
I get it. That makes a lot of sense because you have Christopher Reeve, who was already, he wasn't a huge star, but he had
only been in one movie, and it was a small role.
Yeah, he had a little foundation. He studied Juilliard. He went to Juilliard School of Acting. He was best friends with Robin Williams. I mean, the guy had chops. He was not I'm thinking Juilliard because freaking Val Kilmer went to Juilliard too, I believe. These really trained. Some guys are method. I don't think Christopher is not a method actor. I can't stand that shit. But anyway, it's not method. It's a process. No, it's method. Shut up. So, you have, let me tell you something. Dominic, you have not lived until you have been an actor and worked on a film with a method actor. experienced it as an actor, and I've experienced it as a stand-in on Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix. That was interesting. He was committed to being Johnny. I mean, we're shooting in August in the South, in Mississippi. The humidity itself is merciless, and the guy continues to walk around in black sunglasses, black jeans, shoes, black shirt, and a black hoodie. It's insane. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but where was I going? What was I talking about before that?
Method, Juilliard,
Okay, so you
Christopher.
have these really good. I'm not saying you're not good if you play Superman, but I mean it's just not, Christopher Reeve does it. He becomes a big star, and he's Superman. Like I said, when I was a kid, you have Brandon Routh, who stepped into the role. I know, Superman Returns. I took my son to see that when he was 10, and I enjoyed it because my son enjoyed it, and just if I had watched it by myself, I probably wouldn't. What got me about Superman Returns is the opening sequence was very Richard Donner.
Oh, that whole movie. I saw
Yeah.
one comment once saying Superman Returns was ahead of its time in the sense that all it was nostalgia for the movie it was rebooting. It was the
Yeah.
original Force Awakens, and that's like we're just redoing the movie for rebooting.
Yeah, it's just this is what happened in Superman between 2 and 3. No, don't give me that shit. You redid it and it's fine. Just commit to what you're doing. So you had Brandon Routh, who actually went on to do some other DC show on the whatever the CW, or God, I don't even know what it is.
Legends of Tomorrow,
Legends
I
of
believe it's called.
Tomorrow.
He plays the Atom, and then so he plays the Atom, and then when they did their crossover, he played maybe his Superman or a Superman very similar to his Superman.
He played his Superman. He did. It was a crossover, multiverse.
Well, but I'm not sure it was his. It was the Superman Returns Superman for sure.
I think it was. Because I remember watching interviews because I was like, okay, The Flash. I mean, what was it? What show was it? The Flash that was doing the multiverse, whatever. Because they even brought Smallville into it.
Yes.
Like they even brought Tom Welling back, who's Superman gave up his powers to marry Lois Lane. Like that's a whole other thing. And then you had Brandon Routh. They brought him in. He had gray hair. I think it was his, but you could be right. I don't know. Because like I said, I don't know that much about it, but I thought it was neat to see. You can look up those clips on YouTube. They're pretty cool. But he didn't, it didn't catapult him. But I blame Bryan Singer. Okay, I blame Bryan Singer. I said it. I don't care. The guy's a douche. He walked around with that crappy picture of Nicolas Cage in a binder and pointed to it whenever someone bitched about things going on Superman Returns. So he was feeding the monster of the shitty picture. And I just think that's crap that he did that. I love Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor in that film. I'm sorry.
Oh, I even before all the stuff with him,
Yeah.
I hated him as Lex Luthor. I thought he was
loved
terrible.
it.
Thought it was terrible.
You didn't like it?
No, I thought he was awful. I thought Kate Bosworth was an awful Lois Lane.
Terrible. And he was walking around. Can you see the picture? Yeah, you can.
Yep.
It's walking around with this picture. If you have a problem with what we're doing or what we're making here, they were going to make this. No, they weren't. They weren't going to make this. This was just him blinking in a flash. Literal Polaroid picture. Okay? So calm down. And then you kind of go to who is it? Henry Cavill. To me, Henry Cavill is right under Christopher Reeve to me. Okay? And it has nothing to do with
You froze there for a second, so now I'm anticipating the end of that sentence. I guess it's up to me now to tell Allison unfreezes. So, Allison, if you can hear me, the one thing I'll say, you froze for like 20 seconds.
I don't know what was the last thing you heard.
You said Henry Cavill was right below Christopher Reeve, and you said it's not because, and then you cut off. So I've been in.
Okay. It's not because of his amazing quads and rear end. It's because I think, Granny's the first. I'm sorry, my internet's being crazy. He's the first British actor to place it. Whatever. I think he did great. I think he touched the heart of Superman to me. I think he brought that vulnerability. I just loved him in the films. I loved him as Superman in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. We don't talk about the other one. Dominic. There's only one, and it's 8 hours long by Zack Snyder. That's it. Amazing. Okay. Batman versus Superman. I hate Ben Affleck as Batman.
I didn't mind him at all. It's funny because while John Schnepp is interviewing Tim Burton, it had just happened. Tim Burton's like, "Oh yeah, didn't they just cast Ben Affleck as Batman?" And the internet is mad about it. It's like, well, that was the beginning of the internet sort of like turning on the DCEU.
Oh my God!
I was genuinely surprised. I thought Ben Affleck was a good Batman.
I don't like him as Batman. Now, I kind of could see the Bruce Wayne, but I have so many issues with him as Batman. I am not an Affleck fan. Even if I were, I still don't like him as Batman. I think Batman versus Superman was terrible. Henry, God bless him, did the best he could to polish that turd. He did his best. Okay. And it didn't catapult him into monster stardom, but he was able to make other films that were really good. He's got a real good film I can't wait to see called Argyle coming out. Have you seen the trailer for that? Yeah. It's got a kitty. You know what, Dom? I'm not gonna lie. A tabby cat and Henry Cavill on the screen together might set me off the edge.
All right.
I might explode. I'm just saying.
That's if they have a scene together, which I don't think they will.
There's gonna be.
All right.
There has to be. This year's got to go better for me, and we're only 11 days in. Give me a break, Dominic. Come on.
All right.
Manifest with me. But so, and now we're kind of, who is the new Superman and Superman?
You'll have to look as I keep forgetting.
Let me get my thing up here. So the Superman legacy, and you and I, if you watch our Flash recap, I went on a tangent, okay, which I'm going to retract a little bit, which doesn't happen often. So I'm looking up Superman legacy right now. We're not getting an origin story. We're not. And we didn't know that at the time when I was bitching. So don't come for me. No, come for me. I don't give a shit. I told you. So Superman legacy. You know what? I love this cast. I'm into it. Anthony Kerrigan as Rick's mate. I don't know if you guys watch Barry on HBO Max. I love him. Anyway, so David Cornsweet. Okay. So I recently went down a rabbit hole of David Cornsweet films after our Flash show. I caught a movie late one night on Stars called Pearl. Okay. Now, Pearl is a prequel.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about? It's a prequel to another. Do you know what that film? What is that film?
X.
X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just X. It has Wednesday Addams in it. That Jenna Ortega is actually entertaining. I don't know what I was thinking, but I saw X first, and then I was like, oh, Pearl. Okay. And then who pops up on my screen? David Cornsweet. And
is that how it's pronounced?
Cornsweet? I don't
I
know.
can't imagine that's how it's
That's
pronounced.
how Allison pronounce it in
All
the
right, well,
South. You know I'm
okay.
Southern. I can't. I add syllables. I change things up. But corn sweat. I mean, what's that better? Corn sweat? I don't know. Corn sway? Is the T silent? I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, he was in Pearl. He showed up in there, and I ended up going down this rabbit hole. And I watched Pearl. I watched what is that show? He was in a Kevin Murphy series on FX called Hollywood Land. This is called Hollywood Land. I don't see it in here. Why isn't it on here?
Well, Hollywood Land,
Hollywood,
that
there
was
it is. Hollywood. This kid's got it. And I watched his face. Because look, I watched his body. I watched everything. I was studying for this future show. Okay.
yes.
I did it for you so you didn't have to. I took a bullet for you. Because I know you don't want to be doing that. So I did it. Selfishly. But I'm into
Well,
this.
when they cast the next Wonder Woman, I'll return the favor and I'll watch everything she's in intently.
My husband has done extensive research on Gal Gadot. Okay. Like he is an expert. My husband is a walking encyclopedia on Gal Gadot. I swear it's hilarious. And I'm like, look, I was crushing on her too. That woman is gorgeous. And I'm pissed. I'm pissed off because that's a whole other show. Henry Cavill should have why he was brought back. I guess they let him go after the Black Adam cameo, spoiler or whatever. Like anyone saw that, ain't like, come on, the 8 people. But it's terrible. And then Wonder Woman's act. So I finally, you don't understand. Let me get off that. But as a little girl, I'm just, that's our new Superman. I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan. I had the original Barbies when I was 3 years old, 1980, 81. I had the Barbies. Okay. I was Linda Carter all the way. And finally, they couldn't get the NBC series off the ground. They shot the pilot. If you get on YouTube and look up that with Adrienne Padalecki, I can't say her name. She was in John Wick, the original John Wick.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I saw her at Comic-Con once for the Orville, and during the Q&A, someone had to ask her, if she's disappointed about Wonder Woman, and like
Put her in pants.
my I think my friend Amanda leans to me. She goes, "Yeah, why? Yeah, bring that up. Ever trying to enjoy the Q&A, bring up a bad memory for her?
Who cares? I'm going to bring up a picture of it since we're on the subject. But yeah, I mean, they finally, my point to my AD conversation, ADD, and I know it's driving you crazy because it drives everyone crazy, is you have a good thing going and you screw it up and fire people you shouldn't. Kevin Smith for Superman Return. And you're bringing in these other people, and it's like too many cooks in the kitchen. You got this guy, John Peters, who comes along. And it just, hold on, I'm trying to find a good bit. Okay, so I'm just going to say for a minute here that this could very well be like can you see the picture?
Yes.
This could very well be like the Nicolas Cage picture that was leaked. But no, there's tons of pictures. Like, it's terrible. I saw this in 2011 or 10, whenever this was. No, absolutely not. I was not a fan. Not a fan. Not a fan. I will say the one thing that they held true to, you see her little headband? They changed the direction the stars pointed. They did that with Gal too, because it points up in the comic books and in the Linda Carter series. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah. So you have a good thing going. You got too many cooks in the everybody's got and John Peters is doing kung fu in the meeting. Like he's doing taekwondo with people, putting them in headlocks, and
I love Tim Burton's response. He goes, "Well, he just kept kissing me on the lips, so every day I was hoping he'd headlock me or kick me in the face because I was tired of the kissing."
Yeah, he said, "I'd rather take a kick to the face, or a kick to the face." Yeah, no kidding, man. Like, it's um oh, by the way, I found this. You need to I'm not gonna bring it up right now, but, you can buy a The Death of Superman Lives bundle. You can kinda see it down here. Um, it's got 8 hours of unaired footage. 8 hours. It's $25. I think you can download it. I think you digital download it or whatever, but Google it. It's $25. It's 8 hours, and it does not include the original documentary. So this is not the 2 hours. I'm like, "What is in this?" Like, I'm like, "Oh, the last thing I need is more John Peters taking phone calls and shit while, oh, I'm beating up my poor artists for morale to show them how it is to be because I was a street fighter and I've been in 500 fights and I've had my nose broken and I want them to taste blood. Bitch, I don't need that. Come on. Ugh. But I don't know. But anyway, can you see my oops. Yeah, here we are. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyway,
Well, I want to consult my notes.
consult your note. Let's go with your notes.
Okay.
I'm going to
Also,
bring up.
we forgot. It was also Julianne Moore. Those were the 3 names they wanted for Lois Lane. So it was Courtney Cox, Julianne Moore, Sandra Bullock, Christopher Walken as Brainiac.
God, Christopher Walken is amazing.
I would have liked to see that because he's like I'm curious to see him in Dune 2 now, where he's playing like the Emperor of the Galaxy or whatever. Because for years he made so many movies where he just sort of like parodied himself.
Yes.
Like that when he's not like people liked him on Saturday Night Live, sort of poking fun at himself, and then he started doing that in movies too. So I want to see him get back to the menacing Christopher Walken.
Ironically, Kevin Spacey, who played Lex Luthor, does an amazing Christopher Walken impression. You should look that up sometime.
Yeah, it's in the documentary.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, right, it is. Oh my God, that's where I saw it. Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm
please
a crackhead.
It's like Beetlejuice. You've almost said his name one time too many.
I'm sorry. Look, it is what it is. Anyway, we're not going to get into it.
And another note I had, John Peters didn't address this, but I had heard this before that someone thought, hey, maybe Superman wears like Nike shorts.
Oh God, yes.
I mean, yes,
like
Michael
Shaq.
Keaton wore Nike sneakers in Batman, but they spray painted them black and they attached him to his shin guards, so you couldn't really notice he was wearing Nikes. But Superman in basketball shorts, that would have been ridiculous. Nicolas Cage's his Clark Kent would have been odd. He said when they're doing their like hair and makeup test that he'd like his Clark to be wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt. Of course, this is a Warner Brothers movie, so that probably wouldn't have happened. It would have had to have been like Bugs Bunny. But I do like the idea that his Clark Kent would have been super nerdy, that he actually would have come to work wearing a cartoon character on his shirt. And they were going to have Doomsday in the movie, but it wasn't going to look any like people complained that in Batman v Superman he didn't like get spiky until the very end, so he didn't look like Doomsday. But their Doomsday was just going to be a bunch of heads. That was just going to be a monster who was made just out of heads, and that his fists were going to be 2 heads.
And the heads would turn into people that Superman knew personally.
So that really would have been Doomsday in name only. And that's fine because they really were going to focus on that. He's an alien. He doesn't fit it. And a lot of people didn't like that about Zack Snyder's take on Superman. So it's ironic that like Tim Burton was going to do that like times 10. That like this really would have been a misfit outcast Clark Kent.
The similarity, like I feel like they took bits and pieces out of the I'm sorry. Jesus. Superman Lives script, and they sprinkled it into obviously Superman Returns and Man of Steel.
Superman Returns, I just find it very uninspired. I remember because since I was 2, when Superman 4 came out, I never got to see a Superman movie in the movie theaters until Superman Returns. I remember thinking, like, I don't like, I really remember thinking, I don't like this much, but I've been telling all my friends that who only like Batman, no, Superman's cool too if you give him a chance, saying, like, I can't admit that I don't like this movie. Whereas, like, obviously, like I said, for those of you wondering, I'm just congested, just getting over a cold. Man of Steel, I acknowledge its flaws in the third act. It has problems in the third act, but people, I think that movie got really overhated, and I probably could defend Batman v Superman a little to you, but I know watching Superman Returns, I'm like watching Man of Steel, going, all right, this isn't perfect, but I know I'm enjoying it more than Superman Returns. And whereas Superman Returns, I knew I was telling myself, as a Superman fan, I have to pretend I like this movie. I didn't feel that way with Man of Steel. Whereas I have defended it, I'll admit it flaws, but then also defend it.
You
So
know,
since Superman Returns was so uninspired that it
yeah.
was just like a giant Superman 78 fan film almost, that it was just like, this is so, if in retrospect, if we could have gotten Superman Lives instead of Superman Returns, I would have taken Superman Lives.
Yeah, I agree. And like, for me, I saw, like I said, I took my son, he was 10 at the time, to see Superman Returns. I took him to see it in the big IMAX theater. They had it on the big screen. It was huge. I don't think I ever want to be that close to Brandon Routh's red tidies ever again, because I was up in there. I was in there. I was in his
I
flash.
didn't like the design of his
It
at
was
all.
bad. It was bad.
And they did, because they gave him like a tiny S, and their excuse was because he had a swimmer's physique.
He did.
Felt he should have a small S. I don't know why. And then when he played Superman on the CW, they just gave him like a giant S.
Yeah, like
It's almost
they made up for it.
fuck you to
Yeah.
a certain director.
For me, Superman Returns, like I said, I took my son to see it, and it was more nostalgic for me because I think I'm about 8 or 9 years older than you, and I saw Superman 3 in the movie theater when I was 6 because I had a brother. My brother, Jonathan, is 11. I'm sorry, he's 5 years older than me. So when one of these films came out, and my mom, she was a single mom at the time. If my brother wanted to see this movie and my mom had to take him, I had to go too. So I saw Superman 3 in the theater. I thought I saw I Can't Talk, and The Quest for Peace, Superman 4. So I saw Supergirl. Supergirl was my jam with Helen Slater.
Well, yeah, like we said when we reviewed The Flash, whereas you liked seeing the CGI Christopher Reeve, but didn't like seeing Helen Slater. I didn't like seeing the CGI Christopher Reeve, but just the way they did it in the film that it was, and just the way they incorporated it into the movie, I didn't like. The thing I did like was seeing them together.
I've kind of changed since then. I think because I've actually watched The Flash. I don't know how many times since then. Like my son has he and I
can't. I just go
I
on
know.
YouTube and find the clips of Michael Keaton scenes.
Yeah.
I can't sit through the rest of it.
My son and I, it's hilarious. My son is just as knowledgeable about movies as I am, and he and I have we text about. That's all we talk about is movies. Like he's all, oh, Tron 3, they're making a Tron 3, Mom. And, he loves the Tron. Like I introduced him to the original Tron with Jeff Bridges when he was 7 on VHS.
The actress from Tron, she just passed away a few days ago.
Oh, she did?
She was also in Caddyshack.
Yes.
And John Peters forced her to do a nude scene, threatened to ruin her career if she didn't do it.
John Peters is such a POS. I mean, God, he ruined the whole film. But I don't know where I was going with what I was saying because I never know.
When they were making Man of Steel, because technically he was a producer, that's what I believe Christopher Nolan, as he was a producer, he told basically told John Peters, stay away from Zack Snyder, let him do his thing. Just leave him be.
Seeing Superman Returns in the theater on the big screen, it is strange. Man, I can't freaking talk. Okay. But the seeing it on the big screen, it was nostalgic to me and it made me a little emotional. And I will tell you why. First of all, seeing my son freak out during this whole movie when he brings the plane down with Lois Lane in it, when he's lifting the plane, like when he's doing
The scene with the plane was good.
yeah,
That
he
movie peaked early.
yeah, I mean, just being there with him, it made it worth it. But the opening sequence with the music, you have to
Yeah.
understand this was just 2 years after Christopher Reeve passed away. So to me, hearing that music and seeing the opening I had not seen that opening sequence on the big screen in 19 years, and that music just gives you
Oh
chills
yeah,
and it sends you back,
I
you
was very
know?
nostalgic for Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've shown you the picture at the year I went to Comic-Con. I took a picture with
Yeah.
his suit that was behind glass. So yeah, again, but then it didn't give me anything other than that nostalgia. It had nothing
Oh,
else
no,
going for it.
I'm with you. It's to me,
But
it started out
if
yeah.
I was watching it with a kid who was jumping up and down,
Oh,
enjoying it, yeah, I could see how that infectious behavior would
he
make
had
me
his
have a
Superman figure with him, and, he was just I mean, he's 10 years he was so excited, and the funny thing is like, oh, my husband hated it. Like, he's just like, "It's so bad," but we were both like, "But it's worth it," because my son loved it, but,
here's my
hearing the music
Superman Pez
yeah,
dispenser.
that's awesome. See, like, you can't, you know like I said, I've been a critic since I was 4 years old, Dominic. So for me, it's really, 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 really hard for me to turn off that side of my brain, which is one big reason why we did not cover Big Brother Winter Games except one time because I couldn't do it and I needed to just watch it and not do it. And it started out like Superman Returns started out good, and I think the bottom fell out and it just ended up sucking. Like it could have been so much better. And then you had the Man of Steel, which I thought was great from beginning to end. Kevin Costner as freaking Clark as a Jonathan Kent. Come on, and Diane Lane but to me that was magic. It was magic. They took the concept of K, right? From Superman, like, and I liked that. I thought that was kind of cool. I liked the way it project. I didn't like how they had written it up in the documentary, but I did kind of like how it turned out in Man of Steel. You know what I'm saying? And I like the way in Man of Steel, Kay didn't turn into Jor-El like they were trying to do. Jor-El's hologram. He was a hologram. He
Yeah.
just showed, he's a hologram. And I liked that. Can I just like go on a tangent about how much I loved Russell Crowe as Jor-El? That's the last time that man was ever fit. We all know, you
Oh, yeah.
already know. He was like, "Fuck it after this. I ain't doing it anymore. Anybody else can have it. I'm done. I'm gonna go make the
We
nice guys."
almost, you know, there was other canceled Superman projects. What was it? Because Anthony Hopkins was cast as Jor-El. I remember him going on Conan O'Brien.
Let
And
me look
Conan's
it
like,
up. I'll Google it.
so I don't know if that was Superman. I don't know if that was going to be Brett Ratner's Superman movie
Yes.
or because Henry Cavill was cast before Brandon Routh. Whoever was doing in between Superman Lives and Superman Returns wanted Henry Cavill for Superman, and then Henry Cavill was the runner-up to Brandon Routh in
Okay.
Superman Returns.
The Brett. Let's talk.
It
about
might have been the Brett
Ratner
Rat.
film. It is Brett
No,
Ratner. Is
yeah.
it?
So I think that's the one where Anthony Hopkins was going to play Jor-El, because this was where Anthony Hopkins went on TV and said, "Yes, I'm going to play Jor-El."
And I dig it. I would have co-signed it. And Brett
Well, yeah,
Ratner, man, he's another one of those guys that's getting sued for.
yeah. There's some actors that they could
Um,
pull any role off.
what was it? It was Justice League. Oh wait, no, the Justice. Okay, let me fact check myself. It was a Justice League project.
Oh, Justice League Mortal
Yes.
with another name you
Oh,
may
we're
not want to
bringing
say
this
on
up.
YouTube.
We're
With
bringing
Army
this up.
Hammer as Batman.
Yes, we're bringing it up. I'm doing it. I'm bringing the picture up. So there were pictures released. Wonder Woman.
George Miller's
George Miller.
Justice League Mortal.
Let's pull it up. That's not it. Well, I don't
I
think there's a
can't.
formal picture, but
There is a formal picture, but it's a costume test with only If you could find a picture with the Justice League Mortal cast, yes. So that's the actress who would have played Wonder Woman. There are other
Megan
pictures.
Gale.
There are other pictures, but the other pictures are just body doubles in the suits. She's the only one in the costume who would have been in the movie. All the other pictures are body doubles
I
wearing the
love it.
suits that the main actors would have worn.
When they released this, I was like, I dig it. I like it. She's beautiful. She's an Australian actress. She's been in a lot of George Romero. She was in
She was in Fury Road.
yeah, she was in Fury Road. I remember. Yeah.
She got a very unceremonious death. It was almost a comical death where she's like lining up to get shot, and then a car just comes and runs her over.
Yeah.
Like they gave her a
Great
funny
movie.
death. I'm like, I'm not even sure she's dead. I'm like, she could have survived that. Someone go back and check on her.
Yeah, like that's a great movie. Like why? So let's look up Justice League Mortal, what was it? Wardrobe test, you said?
Or a cast photo. It might come up, even though again it's only actually one cast member.
Yeah, they just have Wonder Woman. All I can find is
I
Wonder Woman.
swear I've seen that picture, but okay. It's gotta be somewhere on the internet.
Look, you can find anything on the internet. You can find it. I mean, I'm saying if you can find it in the comments, post the link. But yeah, but we can, if you want to look, we've got here's the cat. Like we'll look at we'll play a minute. We can play. We got time. Who cares? Yeah. I mean, can this picture not be any freaking smaller, dude?
I'm still seeing that for that last picture you showed me.
I know. I'm trying to make it bigger. This is the tiniest picture I've ever seen. Hold on a second. I need my glasses. No. Back up. Okay. Army Hammer was Batman. Hold on. Yeah. Okay.
Why was Hollywood trying so long to make him a star? He had no charisma whatsoever, which is a big problem, I think, a lot of leading men in Hollywood. That's why we keep making these sequels where like Michael Keaton, we need you back. Pierce Brosnan, we need you. Harrison Ford, we need you. To these leading men of today have no charisma whatsoever.
Have you seen the documentary about the House of Hammer? That's a lot. That's a lot.
Oh,
whoa. No. Okay, here we go. I'll pull it up. I apologize, y'all. I'm not okay. I'm having a hard time sharing this. Hold on. Okay, we're gonna stop sharing that, and I'm gonna present. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So we've got, and it disappeared. Okay, there it is. We've got Armie Hammer as Batman, Megan Gabe as Wonder Woman. I'm not. That guy was on the OC. That's Common as the. Is that Common as the Green Hornet?
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. What's the diff? And you've got this guy from the OC as the Flash. Cameron, who was that guy?
I know he's in the Shazam movies. He's part of the Marvel fam, that family, the Shazam family. I forget the actor's name.
Okay, but look at Fitz. All of these people would have been good.
Yeah, I mean, although that I do find it interesting because now if they do that, because he's Hispanic, if they cast a Hispanic actor as Superman now, the amount of people on social media was like, this movie's woke, this movie has a liberal agenda. Be like, oh, shut the fuck up.
Oh, listen, I'm so sick of people getting pissed off. Look, the times are changing. The world is still, it's changing. Everybody deserves representation.
Yeah, in the 1960s Batman show, you had Cesar Romero as the Joker and Eartha Kitt as Catwoman. No one said they had a woke agenda, that they had a Cuban actor playing Joker.
Yeah, I mean, and that guy, wow, that's my husband's. My husband has a tattoo all down his arm of the Joker, and it's Cesar Romero. It's just beautiful. It's amazing.
I like to get the Funko Pop where he's holding his surfboard, but it's a little expensive whenever it pops up online.
I bet it is. I should take pictures of my husband's Joker collection.
You sent me
Did I
those
send it to
before
you?
a while ago, like one big picture. You'd have to like make a video where you go in and like give me close-ups of every figure.
Okay. Well,
That all right, that picture on the top right there, top left. That's the
this one?
picture I was yes. So that's the actress who was gonna play Wonder Woman. And these are the costumes. Those aren't the actors, these are their doubles.
Is this it too, maybe? Because
Well,
that's a video that's going to pull up.
oh, okay,
So
then
let me look at this one.
that no, I don't think that looks like I don't know.
Now that I see him in costume, I'm going to kind of take back about 88% of what I just said.
Well,
I
again,
don't know.
with the exception of one move, these are just doubles wearing
Yeah.
their costume, so it's not. So I really I thought like Ben Affleck suit in the Flash looked awful. Apparently, it was made it was the same stunt double who was Robert Pattinson's stunt double in the Batman for the motorcycle. He's like the official Batman motorcycle stunt double. So usually you build the suit around the actor and then you modify it for the stuntman. But here
Yeah.
built the suit for the stuntman, and then when Ben Affleck agreed to make a cameo, they had to then modify the stuntman suit to fit Ben Affleck, and it didn't quite fit him right.
Well, I could go on all day about that, but he just he don't do it. He don't do it for me. I like this. Okay, hold on. I know it's not sharing. I love this picture. Can you see it? Kind of, maybe.
Yeah, I've seen that picture up plenty of
I
times.
love that. That's my favorite. Like if I had to pick a favorite, that would be my favorite. Seeing him like that. Now, like I said, once again, I'm not a fan of the G string. I just when I think about what could have been, one thing that I was thinking about. What just happened? Am I still there? Or can you
Yeah,
see
you're
me?
here. You're
Okay.
here.
Everything just went black. Swear to God. One thing that John Peters was talking about, and I had such a Marvel Doctor Strange flashback, was when he was talking about the cape. Like, let's give
Oh yeah.
Superman's cape a brain of its own and make it but you can take it off and throw it and you can get him coffee and fight people and do all this saving, whatever. And I'm like, you are totally ripping off Marvel right now. Like, were we trying to rip off Marvel before it was a thing?
I doubt he had any idea
Yeah,
who
he doesn't
Doctor
know what he's
Strange would have
talking
been.
about. Yeah, I mean, it's silly. I just like, just someone stop this guy from talking because apparently computers didn't exist in 1997, according to John Peters. Not my words, his. You'll see it. He said it, not me. Yeah, I was just trying
So
to
they
find.
probably still had a lot of stuff like paperwork, stuff that now that would be all be on the computer. They probably still had giant filing cabinets with wait, who owns the right to Superman? We don't.
Didn't they have a part in the beginning of the documentary where they were so out the studio and everybody was so out of touch with where they were with Superman that one studio didn't even know they didn't own the rights anymore.
Yeah, that's what we said. Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
because again, they never wanted to actually. They would only distribute Superman movies. They didn't want to actually produce it themselves.
Yeah.
But obviously, after Batman, that probably changed. They realized they could be made that these could be a gold mine. But you had Steel with Shaquille O'Neal, Batman Robs. They were just losing. They were just losing money on everything. So
The
they realized.
list of films that they read off that I'm like, Sphere. Who doesn't remember Sphere with Dustin Hoffman and Sharon Stone? I'm like, oh, that movie. God, I totally forgot about that. And then you had like Wild West and Mad Money, and this is around the time poor John Travolta's like overdoing it with like all kinds of just it's coming to an end, and it's just done. See, that's the problem. These guys have these resurgence. Like, I love John Travolta. Do not get it twisted. But after Pulp Fiction, and he was on the upswing, and he had Broken Arrow and Face Off, and it's a hit. There just comes a time where you got to stop making movies. Like, you get the script from Mad Money, and Michael, you might not pass. I'm good. I'm waiting for something else. I don't need to do everything. And Nicolas Cage, I'm going to harp a minute. This man, it doesn't matter if he's in the shittiest movie ever made, Dominic. He is fully committed to his character, and he sees it through from beginning to end. There's no, I mean, I'm going to bring up his catalog here. Okay, we're going.
Well, the movie he did, I think, instead of we could talk about what they did instead of Superman Returns. So the studio went all in on Wild Wild West. Nicolas Cage, I believe he did Bringing Out the Dead, the Martin Scorsese film where he's the ambulance driver.
That is a good movie.
And Tim Burton, I'm pretty sure he did Sleepy Hollow, which you could argue was like the last great Tim Burton movie. That's the thing would have been interesting about if he had made Superman Lives, because this is this would have been like right before he kind of lost his touch. Because I mean, as someone who's like, wow, when you think of Tim Burton, you think of like the first half of his career. Because like his remake of Planet of the Apes was awful. His remake of Charlie.
I'm not happy with that last statement. I could do a whole show on all. I'm going to tell you, I loved Planet of the Apes, Tim Burton's version. Okay, I loved it. I love all these movies. I love the old movies from the 60s, Beneath, Under, Above, all of it. All these Planet of the Apes movies.
I like the original Apes, and I need to give like the newer Apes more of a chance. But I'm saying Tim Burton's I didn't like, and then he remade Charlie the Chocolate Factory. It's just like what he's been doing lately. With the exception of the last movie of his I really liked was Big Eyes with Amy Adams and Christoph Waltz. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
Like that's like the only movie of like the second half of his career that I've liked.
Well, let's deep dive into Tim Burton for a minute. If you got a minute, and then we'll get back to Nick in a minute. But let's just scroll down to the bottom. Okay.
Well, again, everything at the beginning is great.
Oh yeah, I mean, you've got. Where he started, and then you have, he burst onto the scene with Edward Scissorhands. I
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Totally forgot that Beetlejuice was an animated series. I watched that. God, and it was for like 2 years. Where's the rest of his stuff? Hold on. Is this just director? Yeah, because he did Pee-wee's Big Top. Where's that?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Big Top Pee-wee was someone else.
Oh, he didn't do Big Top? Oh, okay. He did Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Why isn't it on this list? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that should be, everything should be here.
I don't know how much time. I don't have all night, but listen. Okay. So...
Well, so he did. He did Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, there it is. Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns.
Edward's
a great one. He produced. People were saying, "Hey, he didn't actually direct Nightmare Before Christmas." Everyone assumes that he did. He wrote and produced it.
Who directed that? Because I thought he did too. You said that. Like you just ruined the whole movie for me.
It's the director who went on to make James and the Giant Peach.
Oh,
that I know.
I'm
forgetting his name at the moment.
But yeah, you got like Mars Attacks was okay.
Mars Attacks is so. You have to be like the right mood for Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks, though, I will say the little aliens had a little bit of the Brainiac concept art with the head and stuff. Yeah. Did it not kind of remind you a little bit of that?
But he stayed. I mean. Those were what those characters. That movie was based off of like a trading card game about aliens, and that's from the 60s, and that's what they looked like.
Yeah, and plus that was made before, but it just popped in my head that man, that's right. I love Sleepy Hollow. Yes. I could watch Sleepy Hollow all day.
I feel that was like the last great Tim Burton movie, in my opinion. Big Fish I only saw once more because I was like, is like a Tim Burton version of a romantic comedy. It's just not really my
Corpse Bride.
genre.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of does. You get into some of the, Big Fish, and some of it just kind of falls. But Corpse Bride is cute. But I like Planet of the Apes. I get what he was doing. This was, like I said, growing up, I watched all of the Planet of the Apes movies on regular, like on here in Memphis on like Channel 30, local time. They would play these movies on Saturdays and stuff. And it was just like, I didn't have cable till I was like, God, I don't know how old I was. Actually, I didn't have cable in my bedroom until I was 15. So whenever I watched TV in my bedroom, in my little TV, it was regular TV, there was no cable. So I got to watch these in my room. That was a big deal as a kid. And so growing up, my son, I introduced him to the Planet of the Apes, all of the old movies. So when the new movie came out, he was 5, and I took him to the movies to see it, and he did not blink. He was invested. I think once again, maybe that's one reason why I love it so much, but it just, that whole, I get what he was doing. Now, I do fall into the trap of watching their mouths, because if you watch the old movies, their mouths don't really move that much. And I know they were trying to get them to do that in the Tim Burton movie, but it just didn't work. But the makeup was good. But
Yes, the makeup was good. Just overall, the structure of the film, Mark Wahlberg's performance, I thought was awful. And by Tim Burton's own admission, he's not the best at shooting action scenes. Like
yeah,
that's the worst part of Batman is he's not a good action director, which he admits. That's on the DVD commentary for both Batman, which he goes, I don't know how to do action scenes, as I did my best. And so now we're gonna have to do video. We're gonna have to research, because there's no documentary that I know of the unmade Oliver Stone Planet of the Apes starring Arnold Schwarzenegger that got canceled.
I remember hearing about that, and I was disappointed because, it is so Tim Burton to reboot a genre or introduce us to something and then just leave. Because you made 2 Bat, he was done with 2 Bat, and then we got screwed. And then Planet of the Apes ended the way it ended, and I wanted the sequel.
I think it underperformed. I don't think there was clamoring for a sequel.
I know, but
the reviews were pretty bad.
Well, the update, the ones they're making now, I'm sorry, I love them. I can't.
Yeah, I have to sit down and like watch them all again, just because whenever like one of them comes out, I'm just like sort of more interested in something else. So I haven't really had a chance to give them their appreciation, but I'll set aside time for them. So I don't know. Given the choice between Oliver Stone's Planet of the Apes with Arnold, and I would have rather Ridley Scott was going to do I Am Legend with Arnold, and the Will Smith I Am Legend sucks. So I would have.
Oh, they're making a sequel. I can't wait to see how they bring this guy back to life.
Is he in it?
Yes, with the dude from Creed. That actor. God,
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan. Yeah. Oh yeah, honey, it's coming. We can't get rid of Will Smith. We can't. And I don't hate Will Smith. I like it.
No, but like, why are they making a sequel to a movie nobody liked?
Okay, look, you can shoot me. I don't care. I enjoyed it. Look,
the ending was terrible. First of all,
it was terrible. I'm not saying it was a great movie.
They had practical vampires. They had actors in front, and they looked great. And they replaced them with the shitty CGI versions.
Dude, they had Superman versus Batman
on the poster in the background.
Yeah. I thought that was freaking awesome. But look, I didn't say, don't get it twisted. I didn't say it was a great movie. I said I enjoyed it. And that may be Allison giggling during the whole thing going, bullshit. But if you capture my attention and I can drag the entire movie, that's talent. And I appreciate talent. And speaking of talent, Nicolas Cage, before we wrap this up, we're going to look at it. This guy wins an Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas. But his whole thing, you got to look at what this guy has done. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Valley Girl, Rumblefish. He was in Cotton Club. Peggy Peggy Sue Got Married is the film that introduced me to Nicolas Cage. And I'm like, this guy had to do this whole movie stopped up. Literally, he had to stuff shit in his nose to sound like that. I love him.
Oh
Raising
well, they
Arizona.
should have. That's what I sound like right now. They should
Yeah.
have cast me.
Raising Arizona is fucking oh. Give me back that baby. Give me back my baby. You were from you something from hell. God, Holly Hunter. Holly Hunter. Got such a gimmick. Moonstruck. I had it in my hand. I got a wooden hand. He delivers a monologue in that movie about his hand getting cut off.
Yeah, I
so
saw
good.
that. I watched 2 interviews with him today, and he said he based that on the silent movie Metropolis, where there's like a mad scientist who reveals he has a metal hand, and he's like, "Look what has become of my hand." And Nicolas Cage, I just stole that performance. I'm like, I'm doing it exactly the way he did.
Yeah, he had a great. He had some good films, and then he had a bunch of stinkers. I mean, Amos and Ann. Like there's like guarding to like there's some
guarding. I like Guarding Tess.
I love Trapped in Paradise with John Lovitz and Dana Carvey.
That has
don't
some good.
say it. Don't.
Oh no, the bank. I love the bank robbery scene where they're just like, all right, who's got a key? Who? Oh wait, I already told everyone to put their hands up. All right, put your hands back down. Only put your hands up if you have the key.
Yeah.
Dana Carvey just drives away without them, and then he comes back for them. You didn't go out of your way, did you? The first half of that movie is funny. The second half of the movie, where they learn the true meaning of Christmas and decide to be nice, that's kind of lame because the joke.
Is lame.
It stops being the first half.
But it works because Nicolas Cage does not quit. He's not a quitter. And because he made movies like this, he was able to make Leaving Las Vegas, because at that point in your career, it's like, well, I got nothing really to lose or gain here. So I'm going to play an alcoholic trying to kill himself in this movie. And he earned the shit out of that Oscar. And it gave him The Rock. The man has worked with Sean Connery, The Rock, Con Air, Face Off. I'm not a big City of Angels fan, I'll say it, but he committed. Snake Eyes, he committed.
Snake Eyes, that's another movie. The first half of the movie is really good, and then it just sort of
8mm though. That is a good one. That is one I could watch. It's kind of difficult to watch because of the subject matter, but it's good. Bring Out the Dead is good. But you think about in this time frame that there's no Superman lives here. This man went from being Superman to a dead angel in City of Angels. Like, I'd be pissed. Now I got to support my family. I got to make Snake Eyes. It's so bad. But Bring Out the Dead, like the guy kind of comes and goes. Like Family Man is good. Gone in 60 Seconds is good. I'm not a fan of Captain Cornelius Mandalorian though. Nope.
I don't like Gone in 60 Seconds.
You don't? I am not a big fan, but he committed. He
always does. He doesn't phone it in ever.
Matchstick Men, that's good.
Yeah.
Then he was back on an upswing 20 years ago with National Trust. My God. I was 27 20 years ago. Oh my God. Weatherman is really good. I have not seen World Trade Center. That is probably one of the only later films I've not seen.
I started watching it and I took it off.
Yeah,
because it was only like 5 years after. I'm like, I don't want to watch this right now.
Ghost Rider. He committed.
Ghost Rider. That's where I was like, because like him and Eva Mendes, they were like high school sweethearts. I'm like, Nick, I love you. You're like 20 years older than she. There's no way
it ain't happening.
We're not in high school together.
No, this is not continuity. This is terrible. And then he made this movie Next. I think it's called Next. I think that's the one. Next with the Amber Heard.
No, he did make it. Isn't that Drive Angry?
Drive Angry.
Next, it's like a time travel movie. Well, what an awful title for a movie. Next. Because if you want people to like go past the marquee of a movie theater and next, then what a horrible title. Yeah, nobody's gonna stop and watch that movie.
I never really got into the National Treasure movies
Me
after the
neither.
original. I mean, then we got Bangkok Dangerous. I never got into knowing G-Force is cute. He teamed up with that what's her name again in Bad Lieutenant. Okay, so for me, Kick-Ass is kind of when the upswing
Oh
started
yeah.
back up. That is an amazing. Big Daddy.
Which I
He
believe he based on Adam West's Batman, who
he got to
catered to
put
the
on a suit. I was so excited. I'm like, I still had not seen freaking Nicolas Cage in the Superman suit. I'd seen nothing. I'm getting what I should have had years ago in this movie, and it worked. I was so freaking oh god, Drive Angry. Drive Angry is terrible, but it's good. It's one of those where I'm just like, oh, Nick, I'm with you. I'm committed to. This movie is is such shit. Like it's probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's got Amber Heard in it. It's just terrible. But he committed. Okay, he committed. And then he falls off again a little bit, and then
Yeah, what he had is his tax problems, and he was put in a situation where
he's got to work.
he
He's
just
got to
had to
work.
accept stuff material that was beneath him just for the paychecks.
I mean,
But
he's
the
got to
past
work.
few years, that like on Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Renfield, now he's like we're seeing him again in
Dead by
mainstream
Daylight.
movies.
He's in the video game Dead by Day. Let me tell you something about Dead by Daylight. Beth and Tyler love that game, and
Yeah, they've mentioned it.
they've listened to me go on tangents about Nicolas Cage. When I was in New Orleans, we were talking about. I started talking about because I just went. But anyway, they didn't listen to me and realize how cool he is until they played Dead by Daylight with him in it, and they're like, God. So then they started going back and looking at some of the. They're like, dude, he is cool. I go, he commits. He commits. You got this movie, Mom and Dad, where the parents with Salma, I think Salma Hayek's in it. They snap and parents start trying to murder their children. It's so good. It's so good. And and then we're getting back into some other crap, but I don't know. What is that movie I watched that I told you was terrible? Yeah, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is amazing. I love it. He plays himself. It has Pedro Pascal in it, and I'm in love with Pedro Pascal. So to have Pedro Pascal and Nicolas Cage in a movie together, yes. Thank you. The Renfield is a great movie. We didn't get so much has come up. We will get there. We'll do something. But anytime Nicolas Cage throws in a Nickism, is what I call him, a Cageism, a Nicholasism, it works for me. And there were a ton in Renfield. There were a ton of Nicolas Cage moments, and I'm there for it, and I loved it. And I will never forget sitting in the Flash with my husband, how he does not know about Nicolas Cage almost playing Superman and being married to me is a mystery. But it just once again proves, Dominic, he tunes me out when I talk. I know he does. He just pretty much put a nail in that coffin. But when Nicolas Cage showed up on the screen and fought the spider, I almost started crying, okay, because I was already emotional from seeing Christopher Reeve. And then you throw Nick in there, and I'm just a mess. And Chris is like, he's like, why is Nick? He's like, is there anything Nicolas Cage isn't in? He's like, how is he in this movie as Superman? I go, dude, do you not listen to anything I say? It was just a funny moment.
So before we wrap this up, so Nicolas Cage, he did an interview a couple of weeks ago with Yahoo Entertainment. I was watching the video on YouTube, and basically he said, listen, all that stuff fighting the spider, that wasn't me. I was on set for about 3 hours, and what I was told was just to look. Kal-El is seeing the destruction of the universe, and we have to see that devastation and hurt in your eyes.
Yes.
He goes, that's what I did. He goes, then when I see the movie, where I'm flying around fighting the spider, he goes, I don't know what that was. I didn't film any of that. So he goes, that was just all CGI.
So, but he did show up and do the facial kind of stuff.
Again, all he did was stare. He wore the suit. He said, "I'm glad that
What else did he do?
Colleen Atwood was her name.
Colleen Atwood.
That she's like, she was one who designed the suit. So he's like, I'm glad that that suit was on screen and that people got to see it. But ultimately, like again, they added all the stuff with fighting the spider. That's not what I filmed. It was just the part where like I look and I see the universe is imploding around me, and I'm just like, just in my eyes, you're supposed to see that I'm taking it in this moment. And goes, but all the stuff with the spider, he goes, I was not aware of any of that, and he ultimately didn't seem too pleased with how it came out. And I know,
Nicholas,
and I know Tim Burton didn't like that they did that at all. He almost took that as an insult.
but why? I mean, that to me is a lot of kids, a lot of younger people were confused. Like they didn't really get it. And that is what the resurgence of this documentary is about, is that all these people are now going, there was a what now? Back in 90, what? And like, yes, once upon a time, before computers were invented, according to John Peters, and there was no interwebs, that's a joke. Nicolas Cage was to be Superman, and there was a script. There was like 3, 4, 5, 6 scripts. There was a director named Tim Burton. You might have heard of him. He had a suit. It was a thing, and it almost happened. 3 weeks from being made, and it just didn't happen. And this documentary tells that story. And if you are like you bring up my son, but he's an artist, and he loves drawing. If you're into seeing how films are made, I don't know how they do this we didn't do it for my film, but way back in the day, you had storyboards where you would draw, like you have an artist come and draw basically the whole film out for you. Okay. And mark the scenes and do all of this stuff. And you see them with the boards and you see them with the costume design. There's a funny part where John Peters wanted Superman to fight some of Lex Luthor's ninjas for no reason. The guy that was explaining it was the guy that was supposed to work on the Matrix. Ended up doing it. He said it was absurd. I don't even know what it was for. I can't even explain it. So it's like, and you get to see that on a drawing. Like you wouldn't really, you get to see the real sketch, and it's very interesting. That's kind of a dead thing now, I think, but it's appreciated because kids don't realize waiting to see a film and then you're all excited and then it's just not anymore. We didn't have Google. We didn't have any of that crap. So you were disappointed and it kind of just went away.
Yeah.
And
I guess it could be worse what they did to the Batgirl movie, that they canceled it after they made it.
Oh, they've already made it. Yeah, like just freaking release it on YouTube. Who cares?
Well, they can't now because then they'd have to give the money back.
True.
So again, pictures leak online of Michael Keaton on the Batgirl set. It's just like, that pisses me off.
What the best thing that came out of The Flash for me, I got my Batman back, and I got my Nicolas Cage Superman. And I'm like you. I start watching The Flash when they go to Wayne Manor. That's where I start watching. Yes. I start watching The Flash at Wayne Manor because you pretty much, and from then on, it's okay. But I even love Supergirl. I thought Supergirl was badass in The Flash, dude. I loved it.
Yeah, I actually just read today that James Gunn, now he's casting his Supergirl. Like, the process is going to start soon.
Why don't you just use her?
They're not.
See, this is what pisses me off. Like, we can't. Okay, well, I don't know what else to say. Basically, watch this documentary. Yes. It will explain why Nicolas Cage showed up in The Flash.
Yes, and when they showed storyboards of the Superman fighting the spider, They actually
Yeah.
did do a good job of recreating that, where like,
Yes.
oh yeah, it's gonna spit little spiders at him, and then it's gonna use his heat vision. So they actually did recreate those storyboards.
He was
It's
covered
just
up in the little spiders. He
yeah.
shot through the web. He grabbed him by the fangs and just screamed and yelled and shot him to death with his little eye.
Yeah,
Dude,
they did a good job. I was just disappointed to find out. I mean, the CGI wasn't very good, but I would say as far as recreating it, they did a good job. It was just disappointing that just a few hours ago to watch this interview with Nick Cage where they didn't quite tell him what they were doing. Like he acted like he felt a little misled.
oh, come on, Nick. It's all good. You're fine. You're totally fine. I
Uh,
mean, I don't get it, but I get it if you want to say you get it. But yeah, I mean, I gotta go watch that now as soon as we get off here. I gotta watch it. It just is. Great. Like I said, The Flash is not the greatest film in the world, but if you start watching it when they go to Wayne Manor, you pretty much can figure out what's going on. And I'm not happy with the wig that they put Bruce Wayne in the beginning. Thank God he cut that shit off. So watch the documentary. You will learn a lot about filmmaking in general because filmmaking is a process. Until you are lights, camera, action, anything can happen. And just because you're the lead in a film and you have shot half of it doesn't mean that you can't get fired. Ask Eric Stoltz. Okay. He was the original Marty McFly in Back to the Future. Okay. Ask him. Yeah. So do you want to add anything else, Dominic?
So it was either Comic-Con 2013 or 14. It was like a year or two before The Death of Superman Lives was released, and that's where I went to see John Schnepp, his panel. They were still in the middle of making it. And so he he did a great thing with this. It was like his passion project that he just after the Kevin Smith story, everyone was just like curious about it for like years, and then he was able to. I'm sure Tim Burton. It was probably not easy to get him to sit down and talk about this.
He had to go to England, didn't he? He had to like go to London.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So again, he passed John Schnepp. He passed away in 2018, so he was able to see the success and popularity of the movie. So rest in peace to him. I got to again see him in person one time. Just passionate about Superman and these and comic book movies in general. So overall, it was it's fun to watch, like at least once a year to come back and revisit this. And again, like I said, I have to point like someone they could have done like an animated movie version of this. I know like people on YouTube, they'll create their own like fan films versions of this.
Marvel does all these animate what if show. Like my son's all into the season 2 of that, and I'm like, why can't
they
DC do something similar to like do that? Why not? They have why not? Marvel's got what if, DC's got why not?
DC's just sort of almost like they don't like to like celebrate their past other than Christopher Reeve, Superman, and Michael Keaton, Batman. Other than celebrating those two characters, it seems like their MO was always just bury everything we've done in the past, reboot everything constantly, pretend like these things never happened.
See, that's the problem for me. I just Henry Cavill got screwed. They didn't. They showed him. He is in that sequence in The Flash.
Yeah, that's I was just not. That was just like reused footage.
Yeah, and it
from
was
Justice League.
Yeah, and it was tiny. And if you blink, you miss it. If you blink, you miss it. So I just feel like that was bullshit. He deserved much better than that. He really did. And it is what it is. So. With that being said, my weekly meltdown will, if you are a fan of reality shows, we do cover reality shows. If this is your first time out with us, we will be covering the first 3 episodes of The Traitors season 2, which drops on Netflix tomorrow. We will be doing that Monday evening. So take a look, check us out on my weekly meltdown. Dominic and I will be back in the future shortly, hopefully, because I got a lot of downtime. We will figure out something else to cover that will be.
Well, are we really doing Batman and Robin? I need time to prepare.
We could. How about
Actually, I saw that movie so many times as a kid because like I kept getting it. I had it on VHS and DVD because like people like grandparents and like they'd see a Batman movie that also has Arnold Schwarzenegger. What a great Christmas present for Dominic! So they just kept giving it to me. So I had all these copies of Batman and Robin.
you know, we could do a show about the Batman films.
Sure.
And just kind of the evolution of how with Michael Keaton through till where we are now. And that would be fun. We'll do that coming up soon, a couple of weeks. Yeah, we'll prepare. I'll need to prepare for that. But, we were talking real quick before we go. We were talking about people getting in an uproar over stuff. When they cast Heath Ledger as the Joker, that was right around Brokeback Mountain had come out, and there were a lot of assholes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
who were like, "Oh, the gay cowboy guy. Oh, please get over it." No, and he, to me, Joaquin Phoenix did a great job, but man, it's Heath Ledger for me. I can watch The Dark Knight. My husband and I can quote, and the funny thing, it's so good. Oh, and I meant to say, after we saw The Flash that weekend, the last time I watched the Death of Superman documentary, I showed it to my husband, and he was like, I wish I had seen this before I saw the movie, because now it's like, God, that was awesome, But yeah, that's about it. So we'll be back and we'll cover. So in the comments, if you want, what genre, what film, something you'd like. Like I said, I'm not an expert on comics. I just love movies. I'm passionate about it. So, it is what it is. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much, Dominic, for being sick and taking the time out to do this with me. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. And also, become a patron on patreon.com/myweeklymeltdown. You can subscribe on YouTube and get notifications when we go live, and so on and so forth. Yeah, we'll leave it there. And any final thoughts?
Well, again, usually I give the rock and roll, but lately I've been doing the Nick Cage from Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. That's how he says hello and goodbye.
There you go. It was such a great movie. I gotta watch that again too. God, that's so good. All right, guys. So I'm just gonna end it. I'm not gonna do anything fancy. Oh wait, there is something that I like to play now at the end of the shows. It's just my grandson saying boo and giggling. So I will play that.
Lay down, go night night. Good night, baby. Go to sleep, Cloud Lucas.